Hello, welcome to Spell Day. We're covering a spell every single day of the year from the 5e PHB +3. Those +3 spells are homebrew spells. We're at +2 at the moment. You can head back in the playlist to find them, and today's spell is Teleportation Circle.
Locked in a battle of wits!
5th level Conjuration, casting time of 1 minute, range of 10 feet, components verbal material, rare chalks and inks infused with precious gems with 50 gold pieces. It doesn't say worth 50 gold pieces, it just says with 50 gold pieces. That's gotta be a typo, right? Which the spell consumes. Duration 1 round. As you cast the spell, you draw a 10-foot diameter circle on the ground inscribed with sigils that link your location to a permanent teleportation circle of your choice whose sigil sequence you know that is on the same plane of existence as you. A shimmering portal opens within the circle you drew and remains open until the end of your next turn. Any creature that enters the portal instantly appears within 5 feet of the destination circle or in the nearest unoccupied space if that space is occupied. Many major temples, guilds, and other important places have permanent teleportation circles inscribed somewhere within their confines. Each such circle includes a unique sigil sequence, a string of magical runes arranged in a particular pattern. When you first gain the ability to cast this spell, you learn the sigil sequence of 2 destinations on the material plane, determined by the DM. You can learn additional sigil sequences during your adventures. You can commit a new sigil sequence to memory after studying it for 1 minute. You can create a permanent teleportation circle by casting the spell in the same location every day for 1 year. You need not use the circle to teleport when you cast the spell in this way. Fast travel. So we had just covered teleportation, and that one, I mean, this spell is strictly mentioned as the best, most guaranteed option on that list. I mean, it's a set circle, it even mentions primary locations, or... because why wouldn't you? If it's a temple, center of a city, guilds, anywhere you want an instant commute, where you can even skip guards and just instantly teleport to, and you have people capable of doing that, yeah. Why not? Like, it makes sense to invest that much into a circle to guarantee teleportation works. So the fact that it mentions that most of these places have those kind of sets the precedent that a lot of people have teleportation circle, at least. Maybe even teleport. I mean, 5th level spell, it's getting up to the higher levels, but not ridiculous. Though it even has rules in setting up those permanent circles. Those aren't just a thing or abstract magic item off to the side. If you spend on the same spot with the same sigil, for 365 days, casting this spell over and over and over again. Issue with that. World building wise, in my setting, yes, it is still a priority to set these up if you can. However, it is a massive resource sink. I have locked values for when it comes to material components, so it's not based off like, oh, whatever the market is, it's always 50 gold pieces. No. There's a specific amount of gems and inks, and apparently just gold. Oh, right, the material component. That's meant to say worth, right? That's meant to say worth 50 gold pieces, right? Not with 50 gold pieces? That has to be a typo. Or I guess it's saying that the infusion process cost 50 gold pieces? In any case, this chalk or ink costs 50 gold pieces. But world building wise, trying to set this up in a different location. Did the math ahead of time? It is over 18,000 gold pieces. And needing a spellcaster able to cast a 5th level spell slot every day. You miss a day, you have to start over. Consistently throughout a year. Every day. Now it can be a different spellcaster casting the same spell, so if spell slots are an issue, but the material component is going to remain an issue, and a heavy cost, which can easily be sabotaged. In the sense that you have a 24-hour window to limit however the caster is getting to that point, or occupy them in some way. I know in my setting that's a really big issue, is that with new circles instead of ancient ones, there's a lot of people sabotaging each other when they're setting them up. So it's just a massive resource sink. But I have issues with the security of this spell. So let's talk about the travel itself. When you're a player, it is that slow, like, build up, last out the clock so you can get out, as in whoever's casting this needs to be consistently casting it for the full minute. And it's one of the few spells I've seen over an action used in active combat. They didn't start casting it in combat, but they knew combat was coming, and they got to like the last 3 rounds when initiative began. So it became a priority to make sure and protect the person casting teleportation circle so they could get out. In which by that get out, it only lasts 1 round. So even with the time waiting, there's a 1 round portal where you gotta book it. You've got 1 turn to make it there. Not to mention the portal's not limited to ally or foe, it's just anyone. You've just created a link there briefly. So player-wise as well, also whenever you're just casting the sigil just temporarily, if you're not making this, it disappears after the spell is cast. It only works once. Well, actually, it doesn't mention what happens to the temporary sigil. It doesn't say it's consumed by the spell. I always assumed it was consumed by the spell after the one round. At least to protect world building, which we'll get to. Anywho, players cast this, it's an escape, and also downtime-wise, it's cheaper than teleport. In the sense of spell slot, but not in the sense of gold. This one has a consumed resource where teleport doesn't. But players-wise, it's a great, this is where the fast travel thing comes in, is every time you know where a circle is, outside of combat, if you have a minute and 50 gold pieces, you can consume it to instantly travel there. And it's not like teleport where it has the mishap table, you just go there. Now the issues world building wise I have with this spell. How can you protect it? How? Because world building wise, the sigil, the memorizing the sigil, it doesn't say you have to visually see the actual sigil itself. Or as in like, you don't have to be seeing the circle it's corresponding to. It can just be written down somewhere. And yeah, after a minute you can commit it to memory. And unlike other spells, you don't have to memorize that every day. It just sticks with you. Also, when you learn the spell for the first time, you automatically know to? To where? How are you learning these two? Is it just assumed you've passed one at this point? But alright, permanent circle. With its unique sigil. That's screwed over. One, you can damage it and sabotage it, and then that's over 18,000 gold pieces, an entire year's worth of effort gone. And two, anyone wanting to break in. If they have access to a 5th level spellcaster that can pick up Teleportation Circle and have the chalk, or the ink, and the ink. A long time ago, I theoretically did the math to how many creatures, medium-sized guard-like creatures, you can move with 30-foot speed, and also dashing if they needed to, within one round. Through Teleportation Circle. Because yes, you appear somewhere within that circle or near it, but if there's not enough space, you just appear at the next closest unoccupied space. You can flood hundreds of people through here in one round. You can have an actual army charge through here. So a guild hall, a palace, the moment that sigil's discovered, it's over. It's over. Actually establishing one of these is a very, very secretive thing. You are not going to offer this to people publicly. You're going to try and keep it a secret. This is going to be a closely held secret and guarded even when that's the case. Every teleportation circle is going to have guards around it as if it's a gate where people can enter. It is another potential breach risk. So if you have a city littered with these things and there's no regulation over the building of them, any siege can just, a 5th level spell. Yeah, you talk about, yes, there's other spells that can ruin a siege or break down a wall, but having an entire army just manifest around one of these circles or through one of these circles, they're a risk. They're always a risk. Anyone knowing that sigil can just instantly invade. The 5th level spellcaster capable of 5th level spells and has the chalk. So yes, they can make travel and it would have to have its own castle and barracks pointed inward towards the circle if it was going to be used consistently and open to the public for travel. You'd have to be appearing in the equivalent of like a gatehouse. The medieval gatehouses with the spear holes, the hot oil above it or hot sand, purposeful booby traps, just in case someone invades through that circle. And depending on how you rule the wording of appear, it might be instantaneous and they might just if it's enough people, teleport outside the walls. If they do need to flow through the portal itself, then yes, this can work, depending on the number. Not to mention, plane shift can also lock onto this, so entities from other planes that have access to that spell or ability. So certain higher level demons, Githyanki, this is a risk for Githyanki raids. You're leaving an all-access doorway you can't put a lock on outside of people knowing the code. And you can't change the code. Is the issue. You can't change the sigil. At least in the writing of the spell. Once you assign it, it's there, it's unique. So it's a code-locked door, or gate, that's a back door, and that you can't actually change the code. So once it's found out until you just brick up the wall. Or break down the door and then fill the wall in, essentially. So when it comes to world building stuff, do I not see this being used everywhere? Like, they can definitely be set up by an organization that can keep that secret, or memory wiping, modify memory, or purposely blindfolding spellcasters so they can't remember it. Because it specifically says the memory of it, but being it bound to memory, is under this spell. So maybe you need to know this spell to memorize it, or it's just mentioning it here because it's related to the spell. That's just up to the reading. But like maybe during a golden age or some ancient time where there weren't just threats everywhere that could access this, or like some empire's golden age, yeah, they can leave ancient circles around. I don't see... Knowing the potential risks of this, I do not see these being applied haphazardly. This is always a threat of a backdoor or something invading. Something or someone, not just a single group of individuals. Teleport at least is limited to 9 people total. Teleportation Circle, as a benefit, while stationary and taking more time to cast, you can send as many can travel into it in one round. It's not limited to a number. So when teleporting or transporting en masse, Teleportation Circle way outpaces teleport. You could teleport entire towns and cities, or sections of cities, I guess. But you can teleport entire villages and towns in one casting. If everyone's running through the portal, yeah, but still. A trading caravan that doesn't actually travel by road, it just consistently uses these portals to hop around different cities to sell their goods and then head out. An organization leaving these circles secret to themselves in different basements and cities in several points and locations. And again, that secret society keeping it to themselves. And just like when it came to Demiplane, once the knowledge of that is known, it's gone. Anyone who has access to that same spell can access it. And it's not as high as Demiplane either. So really, world building wise, it's a big downside to invest in infrastructure. Player wise, it's amazing to hop around with when you know where a circle is. And yeah, teleport as well risks being able to teleport with objects to a very specific point, like a throne room we brought up, but that's limited in number and the level. In saying that, 9 out of 10. The security risk is the only thing really bringing it down. When it comes to instantaneous travel, like, if theoretically you could trust everyone who used this, it's amazing. It will be used more than teleport. It is the best. Similar to sending, other people would invest into getting spellcasters up to this point if the security risk wasn't an issue. The fact it's brought down to 9. But the ability in the hands of the players and in the hands of world building and organizations that do have access to it is ridiculous. Expensive to set up a permanent circle, the security risks of the permanent circle, but the benefits still outweigh the costs heavily, but not quite. Like just on the brink of outweighing it. 9 out of 10.